Ashley taking shoot pictures.
Hi guys. Hell yeah, baby. Good shit.
Candles gathered in their masses, just like witches at black masses. Candles of bodies burning, as the war machine keeps turning.
It's important to acknowledge that they're doing work.
Evil minds that plot destruction.
You guys are all great.
Sorcerer gets construction.
I've shot with Dave a lot over the last few years. I asked him if he could meet me in Washington Square Park so we could chat about what inspires him and where he came from.
You too. What's up, brother? Welcome to my hood.
What's up, everyone? On the second episode today of Outside with Forte, we're here with the one, the only, D Hash. Yo, what's up? Hey, how you doing? Shooting got off to a slow start. It seemed like everywhere we went, we ran into someone that Dave knew, and even crazier, had a professional photo of themselves taken by him.
Yeah, that was so much fun.
Like I said before, he's world famous. You could see how influential he is in the New York running scene and how it's spread into a global audience. What is more outside than that?
Like every couple of months, it would be somewhere new.
It was on like every train station in Lower Manhattan.
Yeah, it was sweet.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Bye,
I'll see
Benny.
you at some point.
Yeah. My name's Dave Hashem. I'm a freelance photographer. Been freelance for almost 4 years now.
Yeah, wow.
Getting back into the string of things of work. 4 or 5 months ago, I had a baby, or my wife and I had a baby. And so we're figuring out being new parents and just trying to exist in New York City. For me, my driving force is I've always been a proponent of every run deserves to be photographed. I was in a punk band growing up. I was always like gravitating towards artists and filmmakers, and this is where it seemed that they would congregate. Like, you always want to go to the source of where your things are, right? Like, and this always to me felt like it was the source of creativity.
Is it a shell shock coming from Mass coming here at first?
At first, you know, like, I mean, I was coming here when there were hookers in Times Square. Like, it was definitely a different world, but I always felt more at home here than ever. And this is where I got my start as in terms of interest for the arts, and watching, you know, films about the city would always inspire me. This is my neighborhood. This is my community. This is my home. And community is not something you can tap into when it's convenient. It's something you're around all the time. And for me, this is my community, as well as running community is my community.
Yeah, like you might be in it, but it's like to earn it and own it and, you know, and it become something substantial, you want to be here and get comfortable in it, I assume.
It's a two-way street. You need to give something. And some of that's your presence, sometimes that's your time, sometimes that's your energy. But sometimes if you don't have that and you just want to show up and be a part of something silently, that's also okay.
One story that anyone can kind of relate to is that if they are running in a group run or in a street or doing a street race, they've always said in the corner of their eye, they see Dave sitting on, like, you know, the hinge of a bridge or laying in the middle of a crosswalk. The reason that his shots look, you know, so athletic and from angles that are really hard to comprehend, it's because he's physically putting his body, like, you know, in the same kind of stress that all these athletes are at the same time.
You need to be in it.
Yeah.
I'm a big proponent of be in the thick of it, understand what the runners are going through. Shooting when your brain is active is just like you're running. Like, you're physically on, you're mentally on when you're shooting, at least the way I shoot.
I want to work with you because I know that you are relating to, like, the athletes on set.
It's always about know your subject, and knowing your subject means you're respecting your subject. You're respecting what they're going through, and I've always been a big proponent of, like, if you work with me, I'm trying my best to understand what your needs are in the scene, but also as a human. The goal of a shoot is to try to sell an idea through, and sometimes that means you don't always have to run 100 miles to sell clothing that will help you run 100 miles. But how you get in that mode is a process, and you don't want to burn somebody out through that process.
To make sense of why Dave has the endurance and the stamina that he does when it comes to shooting, the fun fact behind all of this is that Dave is a very talented very good, very experienced ultra runner.
For me, it's always just been about the experience. You know, I love racing 50-mile races. I love just going out for a 45-mile run. It's just something it's interesting for me to just be in motion.
Yeah.
But the racing is always hard. I always put myself through the paces. So I love the city as well, and the city has always been my home. But like the trails are where I'm able to be myself. So I grew up in nature. I hated it when I was growing up. But I would take these trips and I would always be outside. Like I was just always either on a lake, on a canoe, on a trail. That's why I think ultra running for me is just like a natural progression of like accessing that what I enjoyed back when I was like 16.
Yeah, I found that the training, both times I trained in like the ultra setting, was really like a lonesome sort of experience.
I've always loved people, but I think when I train and am an athlete, in that athlete mindset, I'm more solo. Even when I train for ultras now, I train boring. So I'll do my run, like a 30-mile run off a 2-mile stretch out and back. I'll do a lower loop marathon just in the lower loop of Central Park. I'll just go out and back up a 15-mile stretch of road because I know it's just easy. And like for me, like that is more calming to me, knowing of what to expect. And then I can then be inside myself and think about what I have to work on. And I train now exclusively solo. I have some people I run with here or there, but like for me, it's now the sport helps me connect to myself in a deeper way. But when it comes to my photos and the community, being out in the community is just as important. So it's interesting to basically sort of go between these two different versions of myself, right? Because when you're out there in the community, you are giving pieces of yourself in various different ways. And for me, to recharge my own batteries, I'll go inside myself and figure out what I need to work on. I wish I could take a photo of every runner in New York City and help them along the way. And my goal, the mission that I have for myself and stated for myself 5 years ago, once I started this whole thing, was if a photo of mine can help someone get involved in the sport, I've done my job.
I think what you do is you take a photo of someone and you make them look and feel so good about the way the photo looks.
I didn't realize how serious it could be. When I started, I was like, I just want to make people look cool. But then people would come up to me and I've had people say, I am coming back from cancer and this photo represents a lot more than you know. And like, I had to take a really big step back and really think about why I was doing it once I started to hear these stories, because I was like, this is like fucking heavy, and it's like, do I want this responsibility? And I always am like, yeah, this is what I want to be doing with my life. This is how I can give somebody joy. And like my career in marketing would give people, you know, the company I was working for money, but I was never really giving people joy. And I think my mission now is to do that as much as I can.
Music has had a huge impact on Dave as a creative. He showed me some of the places that were really influential for him in his formative years and how music still informs the work that he does today.
There's a physical barrier between you and your art always. And with a guitar, it was just me being measured in practice, and that's all I do now with a camera. All I do is like literally every shot is a science experiment. I have a hypothesis, I have a means to get there, and we'll see if if what I'm seeing in the viewfinder is what I see here, then I've done my job. But sometimes there's a delta. It doesn't always work out, and then I go back and say, what did I do and how can I get better? When I was playing guitar, I'd do the same thing. I'd practice hours until my hands bled. The ethos of punk rock to me, in my perspective, is like, it's caring about shit and expressing yourself. I don't know how you grow out of that. You know, and obviously there's loud ways of doing it and different ways of doing it, but like, I try to have empathy for them. We mentioned this about the subjects that I photograph and the people and places where they've been, and that's the beautiful part about the New York City running scene is you're always meeting someone new or without their uniform on. Like right now I'm in a uniform, this is my Dave uniform, that's how I walk around. But we have our running uniforms, and that's how we meet each other, and that to me is like the great equalizing of running. Yeah, I mean the outfit choices obviously, like, you know, I grew up in the grunge era, so like ripped jeans and I always wanted tattoos, now I have tattoos. But like, I had a fucking mohawk for a while. I'd wear like big chunky boots and skinny jeans, and the clothing you decide to wear and how you spend your time and your money is a function of who you want to project yourself to the world. And punks would do that through like spikes and shit and reappropriation. And for us, like when we're in our run clubs, we have our own. It is very Warriors-like. You have your uniform. There's an OSR uniform. There's a Rue Crew uniform. There's a Brooklyn track uniform. But like you get us all together on marathons, or these races, or these community events. No one cares. You're just a runner. I grew up without the internet. Like half of my childhood had no internet. So I'd have to you have to go to places like this to find a CD or a record, spend $17 for a record that has one song that you know on it that you heard on the radio and you taped. Like there was no, let's go to TikTok, let's go to classical TikTok and scroll and learn about it. There was none of that shit. So for me, like learning and being exposed to stuff had to go through curators. And it required places like this, older brothers, older cousins, word of mouth, zines. Like there wasn't access. So yeah, that was Tower Records right there. We have all these beautiful cameras in our pockets now, but back in the day, to get like a decent photograph, used to actually take some time. Yeah, I'd come here as a kid and I had no money. So I just like peruse the records. The beautiful thing about what Tower used to do, and there's other music used to be right down the way too. There used to be curation with art used to be curated with a perspective. You could go in and like, there'd be racks of records or CDs, and you'd go through and you'd see, and you pick one out and it'd be amazing music, it'd blow your fucking mind. And now everything's curated just for like vibes and likes, and it's just not the same. But this is where I felt comfortable. And now it is a Blink gym.
Through it all, you know, the different kind of stages in your life, you know, the one recurring theme that I'm noticing that has always kind of been your calling has been production in the actual process of creating something in some way, somehow. And do you think that this was a natural calling for you, or was it something that you kind of grabbed, or something that you wanted to turn yourself into?
The funny thing about the way people perceive my life is everyone wants there to be some master plan. And I've always done what makes me happy. And that's the master plan. And before I had a family, that meant something different. And I think that's why I was a little lost for many years and struggled for many years trying to find what that was. Once I started to learn and be a little bit more structured, I had the ability to dial in what happiness meant. 10 years down the line, I might not be a photographer. I hope I am. I love what I'm doing right now. But I also loved 10 years ago what I was doing then. The only difference now is I have a son and a wife who I love dearly, and I want to be there for them, and I want to set my son up for success. And
if I could hit you with one last question. Yeah. Let's say you're talking to the young creator that is, you know, now putting out content or video or music, whatever it might be. What is, you know, that lasting piece of advice that you can give them, you know, since they are trying to now have this power in their hands?
Have a fucking perspective. So many images, so many people putting in so much time to just put stuff out to get followers, to get likes, to maybe make a little money on the side. Just have a fucking perspective. I like to talk to people and creators who understand that their images have a lasting impact on the people that they show them to. But there's some people that just like they just create without any ethos. And I think I grew up knowing that creativity and a purpose are melded at the hip, and that helps your process. Whereas some people, I feel like now, have the creativity for vibes and likes sake without any ethos. And you know, I could be an old bastard just talking like, damn you kids, like, have values, but like, there's values among thieves. Like, there's a value system. There's rules. There's a way to operate. There's seniority. I respect people that have been doing this longer than me, who may be younger than me, because there's values. And there's people that are shooting now that have none. And that's fine. Who am I to say? But if they want advice, don't ask for my settings. Don't ask for how I lit that. Ask for why I approach it the way I do. And a lot of people miss that question, and it annoys the fuck out of me.
Dave, I love you because outside of how kind and how, you know, obviously genuine you are in the way you speak, you just kind of fucking say it the way it is, and you're not hesitant to fucking say any controversial stuff that you might have to say. So, you know, thanks for taking your time here and sitting with me and all of us, and, you know, kind of sharing a little bit about yourself with all of us.
I appreciate the time. This was fun.
You're the man.
Let's do it again. I'm looking at it right now. Cozy Soup and Burger right down there on Broadway. We used to go here, get egg creams. It's a 24-hour joint.
You can restart that one. I'm sorry.
We got a guest here. It's fine. We used to get